Hello AstonMTBers. Today is everyone's favourite day, new bike day. Let's take a look. Me, you absolute... So this is my Hope HB916. This is a bike I've been waiting to get my hands on for a while. The main reason being, the only bike on the market that I won't want to change the brakes first day. Hope bike, Hope brakes. This comes as standard with the best brakes on the market in my opinion. The Tech 4 V4. That's the main reason I bought this bike, because every other bike I bought for the last year, I wanted to change the brakes. Every bike I look at, I want to change the brakes. This comes with the best brakes. But not only that, it's an amazing looking bike. Lots of you guys asked me to try and get one of these into test. So I did. I found this one on eBay for a bargain, £3,700. Unfortunately, the bike does have a jaded history. If you're wondering why the posts on my Instagram disappeared, I'll be getting into that in the future. So a used bike, jaded history, but let's take a closer look. So this is Hope's fourth bike. Their first bike was a HB916. I actually went to the press camp for that bike 5 or 6 years ago when I worked at Pinkbike. It was in Briançon, which is not far from here. I can almost see those mountains. And when that bike came out, it had quite old-fashioned, reserved geometry. And I remember talking to the guys at Hope. I'd just been riding the first Geometron and pole bikes for a couple of years by then. And I remember discussing with them in depth, the geometry of the old bike just wasn't extreme or modern or futuristic enough, whichever words you want to use. This HB916, much more aggressive, race-orientated geometry. Hope say this is for enduro racing, EWS, all over the world. Their other bikes are the HB130, which is a shorter travel trail bike, and also their crazy Lotus Hope road track bike, weird thing. This is a HB916. This is, an enduro machine. 170mm travel up front, 160 rear. Unfortunately, like the HB160 predecessor, it doesn't have the amazing 135mm super compact rear hub. The rear hub and brake caliper mount on that bike was Hope's sort of idea to improve mountain bike standards and make them better. Most of the standards in mountain biking are crap, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion. For example, 148mm boost rear hubs. They made the hubs slightly wider to get a wider spoke spacing, but there's loads of wasted space in there. It's not a perfect solution. So on the HB160, they made a really narrow hub. They maybe had a bigger axle to fit straight onto the bearings, and the same spoke spacing as a boost hub, but a 135mm hub, so a narrower back end, more compact. Got rid of all the wasted space. It also had a radially mounted brake caliper, so this was mounted in line with the centre of the hub. So if you wanted to go to a bigger or smaller rotor, you could just add or remove straight spacers. I don't know how we got to this situation in mountain biking, but really strange way the brake calipers are mounted and all the different mounts you need to get the caliper in the correct place. Unfortunately, they've given up on that system on this bike and just gone back to a 148, probably from pushback from customers not wanting change or being worried about spare parts. So there's no custom features like that on this bike, but it's still a really nice looking bike. Just like the previous bike, really nice finish. Carbon fibre front end with this really nice top layer of carbon. A lot of people will say this is only a cosmetic layer. It doesn't add anything to the rigidity of the frame or the construction. But it just looks amazing. Such nice raw carbon compared to, if you look at a lot of carbon frames that are coming out of Asia. I've got no problem with Asia. I'm not being racist. But Western brands pushing for cheap products made by people that they can pay not much money. The carbon frames are pretty ugly. They come out the mould. They take a lot of sand in, a lot of fill in. and then painted. That's why all carbon frames nearly are painted. This, you can see how it comes out the mould. It will have been sanded and polished, but yeah, it just looks absolutely amazing. So coupled with the carbon fibre construction is some CNC'd parts. The previous HB916, I remember, had a really nice feeling back end rear suspension on it. That bike had a fully CNC machined rear triangle. This one uses carbon fibre seat and chainstay, bonded into aluminium components. The previous frame also had some bonding in there. That was alloy to alloy. This is alloy to carbon. The HB916, super nice attention to detail. We've got the flip chip. We've got a built-in sag meter on the pivot. Everything's laser etched, so you can see what the different settings do, what tools you need, what Newton meters. The rear axle uses cassette tool inserts. There's also these really nice internal cable routing inserts in the frame, which are all custom made. Everything's custom made to fit on this bike. Really nice idler wheel, a big wheel. I think it's 18 tooth. And this machined idler guide just looks absolutely solid. There's no way that's going to break. And having a quick look at it, there's no way the chain can get out either way. Custom molded chainstay protector, integrated seat clamp, and this machine door. I thought this was blocked to start with, but it turns out you just have to push it down really hard, turn the lever, then you can put your sandwiches or whatever you want inside. Don't stick your fingers too deep inside the hole. I actually got a little carbon splinter from inside the first time I tried that, so just be careful what you're doing. It should come with a bag, but the bag is missing on this bike for whatever reason. So yeah, in terms of finish and look, looks absolutely amazing. Really solid looking. I can't see anywhere on the bike that looks like it might fail. Like all the carbon, really smooth. You can't see any real pressure points. Same with the swing arm, just all looks really nice, really good finish. I know the guys at Hope do a lot of testing. Don't quote me on this, but Hope's a really good company that gives all their staff pretty much whatever bike they want. They buy the bike, build it all with Hope components, and then the employees, some of them just use it to commute to work and back, where others go mountain biking, road biking, trials riding, all different kinds of riding. So what they do is they get a whole range of bikes for people, which they can then test if their products fit correctly. And it also lets them test nearly every bike on the market. And that's culminated in a really, really nice finish on this bike. They've obviously been through all the other bikes on the market, had a look at what works, what doesn't, and put all that knowledge and tech into this bike. Absolutely no complaints from me so far. Stunning, really, really nice. Let's have a look at the components. So as I mentioned before, Hope's a component company. They've now moved on to making bikes. Pretty much everything on this bike is from Hope. So again, the Hope Tech 4 brakes, 200mm rotors front and rear. I've got to drop that brake mount because it's just so ugly. I hate brake mounts. Why? Just make it a 200, please. Make it 200. Put a 200mm rotor on. That brake mount's got to go. I'm going to downgrade to a 180 rotor, sort that out. So Hope 800mm wide carbon handlebar, 35mm clamp. I've heard these are really stiff. I'm not a fan of stiff bars, so that could change. Hope stem, Hope headset, Hope top cap, Hope stem spacers, Hope Pro 4 hubs, Hope Fortus 30 wheels, Hope cranks, all the goodies. It's got all the goodies on there, looks great. The non-Hope parts on there are the Öhlins suspension, Öhlins TTX air shock, and Öhlins 38 fork. If you remember last year, I had a problem with my fork going sticky after 3-4 days of riding, almost impossible to ride. Öhlins said this was a small batch problem. This bike's being used and the fork does feel really plush at the moment, but we'll see how that goes. I did want to change to a coil shock, and I have got a smash pot coil conversion in the garage downstairs for the fork. A lot of you guys have asked about a coil conversion for that fork. But I'm probably going to get a Kitsuma shock for the rear and yeah, drop the smash pot in the front. Bright, ugly Öhlins yellow stickers, took those off first day I got the bike. Partly because they're ugly, partly because I don't like advertising brands whose products I don't really believe in. Anything you see on my site is going to be something that I truly believe in. I don't promote stuff that I don't think's that good. But we'll see. Should be good suspension, lots of tuning options, coil options, lockout switch, all that stuff. When it comes to suspension layout, the previous bike used the more conventional 4-bar horse link system. Slightly different on this one. High, medium, high pivot with the idler wheel. Concentric rear pivot where the chainstay and seat stay pivot around the axle. And then the rocker link trunnion, which I'm not a real fan of. And 27% progression, slightly rearward axle path. Should have pretty neutral anti-rise and anti-squat. And I'm very interested to try this against my bike downstairs, which is a single pivot with the idler wheel mounted directly on the pivot. I found in my testing, and Eggery found in his testing, it pedals better. Less force on the chain when the idler's mounted directly on the pivot. This one, the chain runs through the centre of the pivot, which is what a lot of brands do, which on paper gives it a better anti-squat number, but the tension it creates between the idler and the chainring, I think, and I do need to do more testing on this, I think it creates tension in the chain and actually reduces your power, makes it less efficient, but that's open to discussion. So yeah, it looks like a good suspension layout, 160 rear, 170 front. Geometry wise, you've got a flip chip, so you can have a high or low setting in 29, or you can put in a 27 rear wheel and run it mullet. 63.2 degree head angle, 77.8 seat angle. This is a H3 size with 485mm reach and a 440 chainstay. One chainstay on all sizes. Bit of a shame. I would have liked to see Hope go with proportional chainstay sizing, because with this bonded carbon to aluminium structure, in theory, it would be easier just to leave this tube longer and then bond a longer tube or shorter tube to make a bigger or smaller chainstay into the aluminium component, or just machine 4 different components with slightly different links to make proportional chainstay sizes, which I think is something that we need. The other interesting geometry number on this bike is the minus 31mm BB drop. On my titanium bike downstairs, I'm now actually running a plus 10mm BB drop or rise, and the steel bike had a 0mm. Also interesting to note, Pole's new bike's a 0mm, and the new Commencal Supreme V5 is 0 or +3 -3, essentially 0. Now I've been playing with higher BBs for 5 or 6 years now, since I had the first Nikolai e-bike that was really adjustable. I think BBs are too low. A low BB is good, was good when we had small wheels, lower axles, the wheels were closer together, crappy geometry, steep head angles, all that stuff. So dropping the BB would increase stability and make it feel safer. Fast forward 10, 15 years, we've now got really long bikes. The axles have gone up higher from the ground. People are still measuring the BB height from the ground and trying to get it as low as possible. I don't think we need that. The bikes are long, stable, slack. Your centre of gravity is naturally lower with longer wheelbase, so we don't need to get super low BB. My bike downstairs turns and handles unbelievably stable with a high BB. The high BB means no pedal strikes, much more confidence going into rocky sections. Only positives, in my opinion. So yeah, it'll be interesting to get back onto a bike with a really low bottom bracket. Pricing wise, you're looking at about 6,500 to 7,500 for this bike, which to me seems very cheap nowadays. The price of bikes in the last few years has really gone up loads, really expensive. This is a GX spec. This will cost about £6,500. It's got the raw carbon finish, which is the cheapest option. They do offer a few painted options, really nice. That adds a bit more. You can also upgrade to the XX1 drivetrain build, but for, I think this one would be 6,750, just like this. Really good spec. Can't think of anything to change. All great Hope parts. Seems really good value considering the frame's completely made in the UK, hand laid by people getting paid a proper fair salary, getting given bikes to ride around on, working in a really nice factory in the UK. I'm not a racist, as suggested by one of my followers on Instagram. No problem with manufacturing in Asia or Asian people. They do a great job, but considering this is made in the UK, really good value compared to Asian made bikes. A Yeti, for example, designed in America, made in Asia somewhere, probably a lower quality and much more expensive than the Hope. So really good job, Hope. Looks like a good value bike, really solid build. I can't see anything that I'd like to change so far. Maybe the saddle, maybe the handlebar if it's too stiff. But yeah, great bike, well done. And next video, I'm going to be getting on this and riding it, see how it goes. So great job, Hope, well done. This looks absolutely fantastic. Really excited to go riding this. It's the only bike I could find that I really wanted to buy in the last few months, and I found one used on eBay. If you like this video, please go to my website. The link's in the description down below. You can support this channel by buying competition tickets and having the chance to win some amazing parts that I use. For example, you can win some Hope Tech 4 brakes, brand new, any colour, any rotor size, shipped globally. You can win those. You can win Rulesman suspension. This month you can win a Geometron G1 frame, plus a bunch of other things. Hopefully this bike will pass the test, and next month we'll be giving away a Hope HB916, brand new, to a lucky winner. So thanks again everyone, and I'll see you in the next video when I'll be riding this bad boy.